I usually don't aggregate stories, but I think that this one warranted a video. Came out this morning from ESPN. Woj, Ramona Shelburne reported that in the final 24 hours leading into the NBA trade deadline, the Warriors made a push to try to acquire LeBron James. And apparently it was Joe Lacob reaching out to Jeannie Buss, owner to owner conversation, checking the temperature. And surprise, surprise, I guess Draymond Green was encouraging this. Interesting. Interesting, right? There had been some rumors that LeBron may get traded, some Twitter dude that gets leaks, and people were kind of speculating maybe back to Miami or Cleveland or something like that. Now, the first thing that came to my mind was I feel like Draymond wouldn't push Joe Lacob and the Warriors to dig into that unless he knew LeBron was probably going to leave the Lakers. Right. I feel like their relationship, I mean, they were in the suite at the Super Bowl together. We all know that they have a pretty dang close relationship. They share the same agency with Rich Paul, Clutch, and all that. It's kind of one family. And so it's like, I don't know why Draymond would push the Warriors again to inquire about that without him knowing, hey, it's a possibility. That said, I think what we have to look at this story is who does this story benefit? Right? There's a lot of propaganda on ESPN, and you have to realize that Ramona Shelburne is a mouthpiece for the Lakers. Like, there's no doubt about that. And so my first thought was, well, what this does is it shows loyalty. LeBron's loyal to the Lakers are loyal to LeBron, and that maybe was the agenda behind this story coming out. From a Warriors perspective, perhaps it's them just setting the table. It's like if the Warriors were all right with this coming out and this actually did happen, it's like, hey, this offseason, LeBron, when you opt out, we been wanted you. We tried to get you before you were even a free agent. And maybe they were like setting the table or just putting that in LeBron's mind. What would it look like with LeBron on the Warriors, right? It seems like a 2K trade or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how realistic it is. But again, I think what are the agendas behind it? And to me, it seems like a story more likely the Lakers got pushed out to show that they're loyal to each other in hopes of LeBron staying there. It's funny, though, because I think the other angle would be you also heard after the deadline, teams were told Kuminga is untouchable. He's untouchable, right? You imagine if those conversations took place between the Lakers and Warriors, it would have cost Kuminga, right? It would have cost Kuminga. I don't know. And look, I know that I have been putting him in the trade machine over and over again headed into the trade deadline, right? Because I was trying to keep it realistic. If we were talking about acquiring a star player, that was going to be the cost. I never wanted to give Kuminga up. I was just trying to be realistic. But over this last month now, and him officially taking a step into being a legit number 2 guy at 21 years old, and then I think the unique caveat to it is he gets it done without 3-point shooting. There are very few guys like that. It's a nice contrast to a lot of the other young stars in this league that makes him unique. And I think that he has entered an untouchable era as far as trades where, listen, no one is, there's very few that are literally untouchable. A Steph Curry, heck, LeBron doesn't sound untouchable at this point, right? But, I don't think that there's a literal sense of that. But I think there's a very small pool of players that would necessitate Jonathan Kuminga being involved in a trade at this point. That's how much of a leap he's taken. That's how unique of a player he is, how high his ceiling is at this age. And unless you were getting in return a true franchise player, I do think he is untouchable at this point. And it happened very quickly. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base on this story. What do you guys, would you want LeBron in the offseason and Bronny if it was just like hey, let's just do this thing? The Warriors didn't have to give anything up. Now you'd probably have to shift salaries. Chris Paul wouldn't return, stuff like that. But let's just say LeBron was like, all right, I'm going to join Draymond and Steph on a cheap deal here. You guys draft Bronny. Would y'all want to be a part of that? Or does the rivalry run too deep? Because I got to say, as a content creator and someone who covers the team, yeah, it'd be great for views, right, and storylines. But I also understand the other aspect of, uh, not wanting to do that. And the other thing too that would maybe behoove the Lakers for getting the story out, it kind of does make the Warriors look desperate, right? It kind of makes the Warriors look bad, and we have this Steph LeBron legacy argument, which I don't want to get into, right? But it makes like, oh, they tried to bring him in, and again, a part of the story that I didn't say was LeBron said, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. And maybe that would be part of the aspect of, listen, I don't care if you're Jesus himself. If you come to Golden State, you're going to play in Steph's system. It's not going to revolve around you anymore, LeBron. You're going to come play with Steph. So in a way, it would maybe tarnish LeBron's legacy to come join Steph, right? And so there's a lot of legacy, a lot of ego, and probably a whole lot of nothing when it comes to the story outside of perhaps the Lakers' agenda. Now, something I don't get to do often is preview a regular season matchup. And that was my plan this morning, but then this story broke. I thought that I would, touch on that. But brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You see the code Alchemy here, and you can get 100% bonus on your first deposit using the code Alchemy, and it really does help the channel. But let's talk about this Clippers matchup, because I think the first bit of news is Kawhi Leonard is out. He, I think, surprised people by extending with the Clippers here during the season, and now Paul George may be the odd man out. And, they have some things to work out here, and we'll see how far their playoff run goes. But Kawhi is out, okay? So that's first and foremost. When you look at this Clippers team's strengths and weaknesses, three-point shooting. They are the best three-point shooting team in the league. Amir Coffey more than likely will start in place of Kawhi Leonard. Serviceable, what is he like? I think is he in the Kuminga's class? Was he a second-round pick? The first matchup or second one, I can't remember, but earlier in the season when we played the Clippers, we guarded him like he was Tony Allen. We completely disrespected him as an offensive threat. He shoots 44% from three. Again, the Clippers' best three-point shooting team in the league. And so you have to defend the three-point line, and you have to do it smartly. We all know Harden and the merchant that he is with the step-back three. Powell does that very well. Paul George, they all shoot it, man, outside of Zubac. Now, where they are weak is rebounding. They're a weaker rebounding team, and y'all know we've rebounded the ball very well this year. And so I think you circle that statistic, an area of the game where second chance points dominating both set ends of the glass, getting out in transition is where the Warriors win this game. And then the turnover battle, which is always very important with this Warriors team. Clippers force a lot of turnovers. They're a very good defensive team that can do a lot of switching, right? They do a lot of switching, and they've got a lot of handsy, quick steal guys. And so Draymond and Steph in particular, you'd like to keep their turnovers down, but just team-wide, keep the turnovers down. You don't want to let them get off in transition. And we also know that Ty Lue has no problem sending two at Steph without hesitation, because, back to Underdog and these picks, I'll give you some thoughts on those here in a second. Like you say, oh, Steph, Zubac in that pick and roll, he may get off. Steph's currently in just a crazy streak of making like 5+ threes a game, right? At 7 or 8, really, even more than that. But again, Ty Lue will send two at him. And I think Steph has to be prepared for that, because there are times where, especially when Steph is feeling good and he knows he can 40 ball you, right? He gets a little frustrated when he sees two at midcourt. You can't blame him, right? But I think he has to accept it early. Like, all right, I got to move this Draymond in the short roll. Other people are going to have to score, right? My picks, and listen, another thing with these picks is the role players' picks come in late, like just before the game. And a lot of the time I like to wait for those. And so I'm waiting on an Amir Coffey point total, because I think that Underdog will have trouble picking that total now that he's starting, right? The number may be off, so I'm more than likely going to go higher on Amir Coffey's point total. I also like Zubac's higher than 9.5. He tends to give Looney the business, and his size. Lue will not yield to small ball. He'll continue to play Zubac. He and Harden have a very good pick and roll combination. I like his higher than 9.5. And again, I'm going to wait for the role players' higher and lowers on the Warriors side. I usually like something from Bajemski. Wiggins has been shooting the three very well. That's juiced for him to go over 1.5. So just some thoughts on picks I like right now. You go ahead and make your own if you'd like. But yeah, I think that if they limit the turnovers and they dominate the glass, the Warriors will get this one. The more tricky one may be flying back up into Utah and having a letdown just before the break. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss what actually happened. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.